Pean, Monarch Magazine resident master chef and your host for Culinary and Conversations, a live cooking experience where we create nutritious meals for your body and explore topics that nurture your mind. Conversations with some of today's top influencers, ranging from the world of politics, arts, film, music, sports, and more. Our guest today is the multi-hyphenate Stevie Baggs Jr., entrepreneur, philanthropist, health and wellness expert, athlete, actor, and author. We are so happy to have you here today. Welcome, Stevie.
Thank you for your hospitality, Chef. I'm excited to have conversation and some cooking going on.
Oh, awesome. You know, I was mentioning to you off camera that when I got your information, I read the bio, you know, the bio.
Right.
Let me see what he's really about. So I went to your social media and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A little outspoken, to say the least.
You know what? But hey, silence doesn't get you anywhere. I like to know who I'm dealing with, what I'm walking into, and there's no guessing where you stand.
Bingo.
And I have some setup questions for you, but the first thing I want to ask you is, as a professional athlete, as a former professional athlete, I'm sure you know about the statement that was made, probably about a year or so ago by Laura Ingraham on Fox. And she made a statement about LeBron and those that were making these political statements. And she said, shut up and dribble.
Now, absolutely.
I want to get your, let's come straight out the gate with it. What is your opinion on that?
Well, first, I want to say this, Chef. I appreciate what you and Monarch are doing by, engaging conversation and food with our people, because if you really, in my humble opinion, if you tell me what a person consumes, I'll tell you how they think. So I really applaud you all doing what you're doing here and giving us an opportunity to have conversation and dialogue along with that. So, and we'll definitely dig into that later. And the other thing I want to say is, I don't have to be right. I just have to be righteous. And I'm not here to make anybody think like me. I just want people to think like me. I decided to think. That's what changed my life, and that's what changed my perspective on everything that's been given to us, from the 5 power structures: political, social, economic, education, and spiritually. And once we do that, now we'll be able to have an understanding and an understanding of what's going on, as opposed to an understanding, as opposed to a substanding, being underneath someone else's ideology and someone else's vision of how you should look at life. So when someone says something that ignorant, like shut up and dribble, listen, you don't even make a response to foolishness. Like, I'm at that point in my life where I don't have to spend my energy trying to convert or convince you to look at life how I look at it. This is my truth. That's your truth. And here are the facts. People say it's 3 sides to a story, but really they say your side, my side of the truth. Really, it's my truth, your truth, and the facts. So if you and I are looking at a number, but you're looking at a 6 and I'm looking at a 9, we're going to talk to each other until we're blue in the face about our specific truths. It's not until we come outside of our own truth and go over to one another's perspective. Oh my gosh, Chef, you're right. That is a 6. Stevie, that is a 9. The truth is that we were both right, we were both wrong. But the fact is that was a number. So that's how I look at life.
That's deep. That was a great way. I like that. 6 from one perspective, 9. But the fact is, it is a number.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And that's and when you talk to people about things that are inarguable, then we don't have anything else to talk about, because you can't argue gravity. You can argue the name gravity, but the law of falling down off of something that's a high up, that's a universal law. The law of breathing oxygen, the law of a lion never jumping into the ocean to try to do what a shark does, or a shark coming on land to do what a lion does. These are laws. Our hair is the only hair in the world that grows up. Everybody else hair grow down, but we don't see our power. These are laws. So once you talk inarguable with people, now your religion, your bank account, your political party, all this stuff gets thrown out the window, because this is the one thing that we for sure have in common. I'm not self-created. You know what I'm saying? I don't make the blood flow through my veins. I didn't create oxygen. You know, like these are inarguables.
You know, it's interesting because one of the things that I did want to talk to you about, it kind of builds off of that concept that, and we're going to get to the food watchers. I always say that the food is an excuse to have a conversation. So we're going to get to it. We've got time. Cancel culture. That's a term that's thrown around quite a bit. And I would like to hear your opinion on that, because it seems as though what seems to be pervasive in our culture today is that I don't care what you have to say. You know, and you said something that offended me, and I'm not really gonna, even if I have an opportunity to correct you or inform you, sometimes there is a posturing of, you know, I'm not even gonna bother. Or a lot of times we see people in conversations, I see them on social media all the time, where somebody is just attacked. And it's not that, and there is a possibility to educate somebody. Sometimes people just don't want to be educated, but sometimes there are.
Right.
And I think what you are saying is when you step outside and you look from two different angles, I may not agree with you, but I can see where you're coming from.
10-4.
And
Absolutely.
that's key because and I probably wouldn't say this in mixed company, but I get some of the mindset. I'm not saying it's right, but I can understand if you're being told this and you're being told that. For example, people in the African American community, conspiracy theories aren't really conspiracy theories to us because we've lived it. We've lived it. That's
Bingo.
So much of our history, medical apartheid, all of those things.
Tuskegee, the Tuskegee Project, all that type of stuff. It's real.
Absolutely. So I'm saying that because I know that there are facts, and people have tried to make them seem like they're a conspiracy, but they're facts. And when you're going to one source and all they're feeding you is this, and you're only going to a source that's going to continue to verify what you believe, how are you ever going to get out that cycle?
You never grow. You and this is what I'm saying about, there's a difference between a revolution and evolution. We back in the 70s, when the 60s, when the Panthers were saying we want a revolution, I don't want revolution. A revolution is going in a circle. I want evolution. I want to transcend, not go in a circle, because that, and if I'm doing that, I'm doing the same thing and expecting different results. Well, why would you ever be upset at a system that was never created for you? They told you that. They told you since kindergarten that you were a slave. They told Kirsten and Piper that they were a master. So you're going to do slave things. They're going to do master things until you unlearn and relearn that everything that you've been given, you have to take the meat and leave the bones. That's what we were talking about perspectives, right? Mm-hmm. I take the meat and leave the bone, and I know how to infiltrate, educate, liberate, and vacate myself from a system. The problem is most melanated people don't have enough value and self-worth. They infiltrate, educate, and assimilate.
Yes.
And they never vacate and bring the information and the energy back to our people. So now you know about credit. Now you know about health. Now you know about taxes. Now you know about insurance. All the things that we really do need inside of this matrix, as opposed to, well, I have a degree and I live in a nice gated community and my children got a trust fund. And come on, man, it's bigger than that. You know, like, let's talk about the real issues at hand. Our people are the number one in the world who die from every major chronic illness and disease. Mm-hmm. We don't want to have a conversation about that, but these people put COVID in your face, and now you are running around fearful. Well, if you don't have an immune deficiency or a mineral deficiency in your body, you'll be able to fight COVID if you do get it.
Right.
So we don't have these conversations about the real numbers and the real facts of what's going on. And so because we don't have the real issue, the real facts about these issues, because we just have one or two or three sources that are all owned by the same people giving you information, then you have bad results. And that's why I tell people, money is not power and education is not power, but information is power. And if you get good information, you get good power. If you have bad information, you're going to have bad power.
Yeah. That is so true. My husband is from Haiti. Well, his family is Haitian.
Ça passe.
And a few years back, we spent 3 weeks in Haiti. And it was a life-changing experience. It truly was. Because you see suffering on a scale that is overwhelming. You see resiliency on a scale that is overwhelming. But one of the things that stood out to me was that these people have remained in bondage. You made a point. It's not education, it's not money, it's information. These people do not have the ability to gather their own information because so many of them are illiterate. So the foot is on their neck and they cannot do anything. They only know what they are told, not what they can glean on their own and learn on their own. So that is so key.
Bingo.
It is so key.
Bingo.
Well, so let me ask you one more question and we'll get to start cooking. You were saying that, which is true, people in communities of color are suffering and dying from diseases that are diet related.
Correct.
And if it can be caused by diet, it can be healed by diet. And I
Come
know.
on, Chef. I had to walk off the screen because my goodness, come on. This is what we've been trying to teach our people and tell our people. The only reason I look back is because the 1804. This is of Haiti. Some of my best friends in the world are Haitian descent and ethnicity. Because growing up, I'm from South Florida. I'm from Pompano Beach, Florida. So I grew up with a bunch of, we call it Zoes. I grew up with a bunch of Zoes. And so Zoe Pound, all that. And so at the end of the day, there hasn't been a people that I've come in contact with that have been more resilient and more loyal as friends, family, just a decent energy. Now, obviously, we all have exceptions, but in my summation, those are some of the most loyal people that you can come across. But anyway, I digress.
What I wanted to ask you was, you made a very good point that our people are. We don't want to have the conversation about health. Okay, we're kind of being forced to have it now, but I am of the opinion that so often people in communities of color, disenfranchised communities, they are saddled with the burden of survival. So the luxury of thinking beyond tomorrow, thinking about what this 2-piece and biscuit is going to do to my body. I'm just trying to eat now.
Correct.
How do we transition so that people are living in the here and now and realizing everything you do is either contributing to your health or your death? What steps can we take to invigorate the community, to inform the community, to help them get it?
So here's the thing. We have to start prioritizing, in my humble opinion. We have to start prioritizing the things that make sense. Not the things that we want, but the things that we need. Because I get it, for a person who is on food stamps and welfare and can't do this and can't do that, right? That's one exception. But then you have another tier who gets money and they driving in a luxury car, but they have enough sense to put 93 gas in their luxury car, but 87 things in their body. So why would you put 87 gas in your body in the form of high fructose corn syrup and a bunch of soy and a bunch of sugar and a bunch of salt and fats, but you would go put 93 gas in your car because you put the best gas in something you ride in, but hold on, you can get another car. You can't get another Temple, right? So it will behoove me to look at the people who are super disenfranchised that don't have the opportunity to have the information, because even people on food stamps can go buy greens, they can go buy apples, they can go buy the things that they bioavailable nutrients. We'll just say that in totality. They can go consume bioavailable nutrients, but no, because when it comes down to Thanksgiving and turkey, they spend the money to go get all the things that they need. Then we find a way. We're resilient enough for that. But during the week, regular week, now, hey, we're going to go to McDonald's. I don't know the last time I even looked at a McDonald's. And because once I got the information, now I'm like, wow, I can't put that in my temple
Right.
you know? And when I do put anything that's bad in my temple, I gotta know. So what happens is we have economic disease, um, environmental disease, we have social disease, we have intellectual disease, we have so many diseases. And those diseases over time causes stress. And those stresses cause disease, right? So now we have to unlearn and relearn. We can't eat the same thing grandma them used to eat. You know why? Because back then they ate from the farm. Right now we're eating from the pharmacy. So it's a difference between the farmer and the pharmacy. And if you close your eyes, they sound the same, but it's very ambiguous. So we have to be very careful how we just inject and in I mean ingratiate ourselves into the language of that's very ambiguous, I should say. I'll just leave it at that. But at the end of the day, if we listen to the words tell us, like disease.
They do.
You know, they tell us. That's why I don't allow people to call me black, Chef, because I'm indigenous, I'm aboriginal, I'm melanin, I'm carbon. Because if you take the B off of black, is lack. And we be in lack of unity, we be in lack of information. And if you look up the word black in the Latin, it stands for colorless. Now, if en français, je parle français un petit peu, j'ai étudié français à l'école université. So in French, the word black or blanc is white. And the word black is noir, spelled with the N. Now you go to Spanish, blanco is white. Isn't blanco and blanc close to spelled to black? So look at what they do. They invert everything so that you don't have the true information, and you orate things into the universe, and you plant a seed, and now you manifest that seed. So now you being black, you black and you proud, you Black Lives Matter. No, I'm not. I'm melanin, I'm aboriginal, I'm indigenous. And once we find out who we are, then now you can't tell me a lie. You can't throw me off the square of my value anymore, because now I can recognize Haile Selassie. I can recognize Marcus Garvey. I can recognize Mansa Musa. I don't just have to resonate with Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass and Martin Luther King. Although they did their great things in their right, show me somebody that looked like me that was royal. So our babies have an opportunity to have a different outlook, and the veil can be lifted on just being a slave. So anyway,
the history that we are told in this country begins with slavery.
100%. But then I lie to you and tell you that Christopher Columbus discovered America. How can you discover something when some people were already here? That's just so. Anyway, let's discover this food, Chef.
Let's get this fire going. So what we're fixing to so since you're from South Florida, I know you've probably tasted something like this. My approach to cooking, I celebrate the African diaspora through my cooking. I'm a first generation West Indian and West African. My father is an indigenous Liberian. He's from the Kru tribe in Liberia. My mother is from Guyana. And I just look at the culinary legacy of Africa and how it has really influenced world cuisine. But I take a look at it through the plant-based lens. So I also believe that we should eat food as close to its natural state as possible. I know a lot of people, when they get curious about veganism, et cetera, the first thing they do is they buy all this processed stuff. And I'm like, that may be better than meat, but best is eating food as close to its natural state, because your body grabs what it needs from it and it gets rid of the rest. So today, we are going to be making a really simple dish that can be, you can switch it up so many different ways. So this is Caribbean black beans. We are using black beans. Typically, I suggest people to, prepare the dried beans per package. If you're in a rush, you can use canned. However, make sure that it is a non-BPA lined can, because we do not want bisphenol. We do not want bisphenol A, which is a plastic that will leach into your beans and cause havoc on your body. So we have black beans. We have some coconut milk, which to me, it's so luscious, and it is satiating as well. It's one of those things that when it hits your palate, you've eaten. We've got some coriander and cumin. We've got some fresh garlic. We've got onion. We've got fresh thyme. We've got bell peppers. This is the kind of dish you can even add chopped tomatoes to this. If you want to fortify your greens and your calcium, you can throw a handful of spinach or even kale into this, and make it more like a stew. This can be served on its own as a soup. You can blend it a little bit to make it smoother. It can go over rice. It can go over quinoa. There's so many ways to eat this. So we're going to get started. So we've turned the fire on, and we're just going to put a little.
So, Chef, what do I need to have it on?
Medium high.
Okay. So medium.
Medium high, and we're going to put about a tablespoon. You could probably get away with less. You could probably put like 2 teaspoons of oil in your pan. I use grapeseed because it is an oil that can withstand high heat. It's not going to switch up on you and do anything crazy to your arteries.
Okay.
Avocado oil is also another great oil to use for sauteing.
Yes.
I try to stay away from peanut, not only for allergies, but peanuts tend to be acidic. I don't know how that affects the oil, but I try to avoid peanut oil.
As do I, Chef. All those oils, and I use olive oil as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we've got this heating, and we're just gonna. You've got your onions chopped up. We're just gonna drop those in the pan.
Okay. All right.
Your pan is going, and just drop that fresh thyme. Just drop the whole thing in there as well.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm gonna drop the thyme in there, you guys.
It sounds like yours is going faster than mine. So
yeah, I'm gonna turn it down because I have a gas situation. Yeah, so gas is a little.
So do you come from a line of athletes or entrepreneurs, or is it a mixture of both?
Well, I'm the first in my family to even go to college. So yeah, not so educators, no. Entrepreneurs, yeah, I have an uncle who has his own, mobile detailing business, and I used to work with him in the summers and growing up, and so I learned some different things from him regarding, that. But at the end of the day, my uncle, it was such a very intricate part of my entrepreneurship life. So, but he's the only one. Yeah.
So we've got our onions going, and I see you have you can throw your garlic in there.
Okay.
And we're gonna go ahead also and just put our bell peppers in there and just let that all saute together.
Bell peppers. All right. That's smelling delightful already.
Already. So most athletes do not think about life after sports, but it seems as though you were ahead of the game. So how did you manage to continue your career after football?
So the only reason, one of the main reasons was because I was such a journeyman. So I played on 11 teams in 10 years. So I had to find, so I was a journeyman, like I said, to say. So I was on the go. And so I had to do other things outside of football to make sure that everything was good financially, because there was times because I played in the NFL, but I also played in the CFL, and there was just times when it wasn't good. The economics wasn't good. I tell people all the time, I was driving around in a Land Rover, but had no land.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it's just the ideology. It's just how we were taught, and so consequently, those lessons have helped me tremendously in this area, in this point of my life, though, like I said, from an economic perspective and everything like that. So yeah, I don't take for granted the whole journey, Yeah.
So are you sauteed pretty well there? Is everything looking like it's cooking well for you there?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay. All right. So now let's add our beans.
All right. Now, when they're in the can, do you use the
No,
juice in the can, or do you?
no, I don't.
Okay.
I
Okay.
usually
You dried
rinse
it
them
out.
off.
Okay.
Mhm. I usually rinse them off.
I mean, okay, perfect. Okay, that's good to know. So let me rinse them off. Yeah, yours is looking a little therapeutic over there. I'm like, man, what's going on? I got to get my stuff together.
So now I understand that when Kasim Reed was mayor, he appointed you head of, what was the title, health and wellness?
So I was the health and wellness ambassador for the city of Atlanta.
Okay.
And so what that position encompassed was more or less the opportunity to go around and tell all the departments in the city about the importance of health and wellness outside of eating right and working out. So we were talking things about consumption and what are you putting in your body on a cellular level and how that will help you perform better, in every area of your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long did that appointment last?
I was there throughout from 2014 until the new term came in, and they don't have the position anymore. But I still work very closely with the city of Atlanta. My mother and I started a nonprofit. We'll be 18 years in February called CETA Foundation. And CETA Foundation is a health and wellness nonprofit. And we have 9 after-school programs in the city of Atlanta. So we're teaching young people all of these things that we're talking about, from economics to STEAM to even we teach them how to grow their own little micro gardens and everything, because our people don't have a real sense of agriculture, and you have no culture if you don't have agriculture.
Right. Right.
So when you talk about culture, you need agriculture for culture.
Absolutely.
So that's why I talked about the land, because now I've purchased land and we're doing things on that level. I used to own a restaurant downtown Atlanta called Dream Cafe. And so, I'm kind of comfortable in the kitchen, but at the end of the day, that means nothing. That means nothing if you don't have land. Because now, in my opinion, Chef, we're going to get to a time and a place where if you don't grow it, you won't be able to consume it.
That's true. That's true.
So,
real quick, take your coriander and cumin and sprinkle it over those beans.
All right. Sprinkling right now.
Put that over. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take that coconut milk. You can use as little or as much as you want. You can use low-fat coconut milk if you want to. You can use oat milk. You don't have to use coconut milk, but it is my favorite, and it definitely gives it that Caribbean island flavor.
That vibe. Okay. Well, let's see. I love coconut milk.
Put that in there. And if you notice, we haven't used any salt, because salt is something we use at the very end just to bring it all together. Our people suffer from hypertension and all kinds of issues. And so I like to build flavors without salt.
Maybe I use too much coconut milk.
No, because then you'll just have to use a slotted spoon so you get more beans. This is the kind of thing, if you want to, you can put it in a blender and blend it up and make a nice creamy soup. So
wow.
You're fine. Did you use the whole can?
Well, it kind of came out on me because I usually use coconut milk, out of the refrigerator, not in the can.
Okay.
But
okay.
Yeah, but that's cool. That's cool.
So,
I'm gonna put a little cayenne pepper in mine.
Absolutely. You can put cayenne, you can put red pepper flakes. This is, like I said, this is a foundation that you can build on. You can, at this point, you could put some kale in there and let the kale just kind of wilt. You could put spinach in here. All of those things would work. I'm gonna now put probably a teaspoon of salt in this.
Okay. Now, what's your favorite type of salt? Because you hear everything from sea salt to this salt to that salt. What's your favorite?
I like Himalayan. I like Himalayan salt because
Okay.
I think it does a good job. You don't have to use too much of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
So I think really at this point you just want it to all warm through, and it's done.
Wow. And that was quick too, Chef.
And it's
Well, the
done.
one thing I do notice about when you eat,
Mm.
um, with bioavailable nutrients, it really doesn't take a long time.
It doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't. One of the things that I like to prepare that I show people quite often is how to fix greens like collards and kale. I don't cook them for 2-3 hours. I literally steam it. I put a little bit of oil in the pan, let it wilt, put like a quarter cup of vegetable broth, cover it, it's done. Because all
Yeah,
you really
because you don't
need,
want to cook all the nutrients.
you just want
Yeah, that
those
makes
cells to break down to make it bioavailable, and it's delicious.
wow.
So if you
My
have,
stepmom does that. Okay, I'm listening.
oh no, you're fine, you're fine. I was just saying we can go ahead and plate this so we can keep talking. Do you have
Okay.
a bowl or something to put it in?
Yeah, you called it out. Bowl is what I need right now for this. A bowl is what I need.
I'm just gonna put this in my bowl. And I bought some plantain chips to eat with mine.
That sounds good.
You could do some sliced avocado on this, you know.
Let me tell you, it tastes. I mean, it smells delicious.
Some of that healthy fat.
Mm-hmm.
If we eat fat, we want to make sure it's healthy fat. We don't want that fat that's saturated and killing you.
Exactly. Just like with the sugar, right? I mean, if you're
Yeah.
eating the sugars, you want to get the best sugar you can. All right. Let's see what we have here. Now, you already ready? You ready?
Yeah, I'm about to hook mine up with a little bit of avocado. You know, I like to make stuff look. Did you taste it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you put any salt on yours?
I put a little salt in there. I'm
Okay.
good.
But what's good,
I'm
yeah,
good.
one of the things that I've learned too is that you can retrain your palate. We as a culture and we as a country, we have gotten so used to super salty and super
Mm-hmm.
sweet things. But it is possible to retrain your palate so that you can now taste all the different flavors in an
Yes, it
apple.
is.
When you
Yes, it
taste
is.
pineapple, you can really enjoy what it is versus something sugary. Like I tell people that eat Oreos, for example. I said Oreos don't taste like chocolate.
No,
They don't
on
have
no day.
flavor.
On no day do they taste like chocolate.
No.
And I'm gonna give you a little side note about me. Today I fasted. I did 36 miles on my road bike, and then I haven't eaten anything except my herbs and water. Now this is the first thing that I've consumed all day that's real food. So what I try to tell people is, in order to reverse the aging process, sometimes you have to put the body in a ketosis state where you still have your hydration, and you still can move around, but you have to make sure that you put the body in a place where it can eat off of the fat and it can heal itself from the inside out on a cellular level. So people call it intermittent fasting. I like to call it an indigenous way, because let me tell you, I'll explain why. Indigenous people, they moved around all day. And they can only eat berries or nuts or fruit, whatever they picked off the tree. Or they could only eat meat, whatever they killed. So if they didn't do that, they didn't eat.
Right.
That's why they didn't have stroke and diabetes and high blood pressure, because they were fasting most of the time. And so when people say they're fasting and they feel like they're getting closer to God, the reason why that is because 80% of the body's energy is used for digestion. That's why when you eat a big meal, you get itis. But the larger, that's facts. The larger amount of the body's nutrition. I love what you're doing. The body's is actually used for thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that you necessarily got any closer to God than you were before. It's just that the energy that you were used to break down food, now you can use to think. Now you can use to meditate. Now you can use to pray. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to share that.
I've never heard it explained like that, but I too have had moments, I've had times when I have fasted and I've experienced that. And that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. So let me let you see my finished product.
See, you showing out, Chef. Okay. Now I'm gonna just tell you, this is mine, guys. Now
That's all right.
It looks
But I'm
good.
sure it's just
It
as
tastes good. That's what I was about to say. It doesn't look as good, but it tastes good. I guess that's what matters.
Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to chat with you a little more. How has the pandemic affected you?
The pandemic has impacted me in a number of ways. I'm a speaker and I'm an actor. Those are my two main sources of income.
Mm-hmm.
So as a speaker, everything got shut down. Like there's no more universities. There's no more MLM, me. Now everything's virtual. I've done a lot of this. And that's cool, but that's not my cup of tea because I'm used to feeling the people and touching the people and like the energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then as an actor, of course, when everything first went down, boom, it shut down. But I was fortunate enough to book 30 episodes as a series regular on Tyler Perry's Ruthless. So I'm one of the main characters on there. And it comes out on Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
Thanksgiving Day on the 26th. Yeah. On BET Plus. So check that out, folks.
I will.
It's tremendous. And but consequently, the acting world also shut down. So then boom, those are my two main things. Then my other nonprofit piece, now the after school programs, done.
Wow.
So now I had to sit still. And in the midst of sitting still, I didn't just listen to the universal God, I was able to hear. So I was able to connect with nature more. I was able to go do some more grounding. I was able to get on my bike and ride more miles. I was able to take care of my temple and release the things that I was holding on to that society puts in our face as what we need to have. All you need is your peace. All you need is your joy. You don't need any, and a lot of people, we've been taught to look without, so we never look within. So the car, the house, the husband, the wife, the children, the career, and everyone. So you're looking without, and you get all these things and you're still empty.
Mm-hmm.
When you look within, because we live three types of lives: our public life, our private life, and then our secret life. And our secret life is only between you and Yahweh. Okay, so when you look within, you find understanding, intellect, intimacy, integrity, insecurities, insight. You find all the most important things in the world because it starts with I am. We've just been taught to look without. And so when you do that, you end up without. When you look within, it was the most gratifying thing that I could have ever done.
Wow,
the pandemic helped me.
That's beautiful to hear that. Yeah, because we live in such a fast pace, and I've heard this said that it really forced people. A lot of the people that they thought they had something going on, forcing them to slow down and being in a space with that significant other either brought them together or just
because you can't run from self. You can't run from what you look at in the mirror every day.
Mm-hmm.
You can't run from that. Mm-hmm. So what happens is you've been just going through life and existing, and you haven't been living. Oh, I'm just going to exist in this space. The husband, the wife, the children, and the job, and then you next thing you know, you 10 years down the road, and you have no peace, and you have no joy, and you're not fulfilled because you allowed yourself to get caught up in looking without and worrying about what other people would say about a decision that you made in your life. I don't live my life like that because other people's opinion of me is none of my business. No, it's not. And the reason I say that is because out of 100% of the people in the world, 25% of the people will love you, but they can be persuaded to hate you. 25 will hate you, but can be persuaded to love you.
Okay.
25 will hate you no matter what you do. You can go save their child from a burning building. They still gonna hate you. And then the 25% gonna love you no matter what. They won't change. The moral of the story is you will never please everybody. So you only have to really, truly please the entity that created you.
Amen.
And when you do that, you'll still treat people with respect. You'll still walk in your purpose, but it won't be to the detriment of your temple or your well-being or your peace. That's my opinion on that.
That is what you're talking about, evolution. That is evolutionary thinking.
Absolutely.
And I have never heard it explained that way, revolution. That makes so much sense, because as you look in history, as people of color, you'll watch a movie from 1950, the same issues they're talking about. It's like I'm like this, nothing hit the same over, and it's
nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
And it's so sad to me, Chef, because the unfortunate part is that our people are only given those images. When are they gonna make a movie about Mansa Musa traveling and creating schools and changing the currency? When are they gonna make a movie about Haile Selassie riding around on lions like they were an elephant? Make a movie like that so we can see our people in that light.
Interesting though, I told you my father is African. My husband was having a conversation with him, and my father, he asked I think my husband said something about the people of Benin, or the Dahomey, are supposedly the people that went to Haiti. And I've known my father my entire life, and my father was like, actually, and he broke down the history of Africa and the tribes and all of that stuff.
I love it.
On the continent, and then I was in Ghana for the summer, and I had a conversation with these young men, and they were able to tell generations and generations and generations back about their people and how they moved. And I said, wow, that knowledge.
See, our history is his story. We've heard that. But we've received his story.
Right.
And and your story has been a mis-story. Okay. And now, once again, we have to lift the veil, because that's the other thing I want to tell people. Please do your research about how many melanated people are already in America. Okay. The Moors. Okay. We have been traveling back and forth from Alkebulan, Kemet, or what we call the continent, for ages. Okay. So if you're the original people, then you need to start taking a look at not only the original sin, the original transgression, but you also have to start taking a look at how someone can manipulate your history and have you in bondage that you have no idea that you're in. So we really have to talk about that, because I don't believe, this is me, I don't believe on one day that it was 90-something million people that they brought from the diaspora to America. It was already melanated people in America, and in South America, and in the Caribbean, and all over the world. And you can see the pyramids all over the world. You can see the phallic symbols that only Anunnaki or higher vibratory energy can create. So once you start to look at those things, folks, then you'll be able to transcend the bondage that we have inside of this matrix of our self-worth. That's why we hate each other. We will speak to another cultural, ethnic group before we even speak to ourselves passing on the street. That's sad to me. That's self-hate.
Something that you mentioned is powerful, because I have heard over and over again that they cannot figure out how pyramids were built. And they were built by people of color. So what that tells me is that in 2020, if you can't figure out how a pyramid was built in whatever BC, the intellect, the understanding that we as a people
Chef.
have. So to me, you had to be convinced that you weren't who you were for you to
Absolutely.
put into bondage.
Absolutely.
You
And
have
that's
to be told and convinced of a new story to take you from who you were.
and that's exactly my point. And I guarantee you we were consuming different energy in our system.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you we were out in the sun more.
Mm-hmm.
So the pandemic has let me break this word down real quick. You have pandemic that has caused a pandemonium, and it's all ran by a governmental system that's a democracy. Okay, this is about to blow you away. So the government, first of all, who's governing your mental? That's the question we need to ask. The government, all right? Underneath that, the government is a democracy. The prefix to democracy is demo, which is the same prefix to demon. Cratic means to rule over. So democratic. The demo rules over you. Then let's go to pandemic. Inside of pandemic is DEM. And then inside of pandemonium is demon. So the only way people could get you to do a thing is if they keep you fearful. We got to stop moving in fear. God and fear can't occupy the same space. Pick one. You can't be afraid to live and afraid to die. Pick one. What are we doing? So what does it mean to walk around with a mask on your face, breathing in carbon dioxide, not carbon live oxide, carbon dioxide? Because if you breathe it in, you're surely gonna die. They don't want to have these conversations because once again, Chef, the things that I'm saying are inarguable. Now you can argue them, but let's go to the facts. If you sitting there and breathing in carbon dioxide every day, last time I checked, everything that comes out of the body from sweat, number one, number two, phlegm,
Toxins,
and carbon dioxide, these are all toxins leaving the body. So why would I want to put this on my face and cover up my face and I'm breathing in this thing? And that's all a part of the control mechanism. Because if I can control you to do that, to go to the grocery store, next thing I'll control you to, take a vaccine. And once again, this is not necessarily Monarch's views. This is Stevie Bass Jr. views. And I want to say that because at the end of the day, I'm just getting interviewed here.
Oh yeah,
but at the end of the day, but I still have to
talk to people that have different views, and it's interesting. You've shared quite a bit that has been enlightening to me. Some things that I may differ with, but that's fine because you said it yourself starting out. You may see a 6, I may see a 9. What we can agree on is that it's a number. So I hear you.
Exactly.
I appreciate you sharing that. So I'm going to ask you one last question. I don't know if you're comfortable answering this. Tell us about working with Tyler Perry. What is that like?
Let me tell you something. Number one, we did 30 episodes within 2 weeks, okay? So when I say insane work ethic, I see why the brother is a billionaire. Just off of that alone, he was on every scene. He was there, directed every single scene from A to Z. Okay, so someone who has a work ethic like mine, I could appreciate that level of excellence. So I saw why he was where he's at. At the end of the day, content, I can honestly say I never agree with all of his content. I can say that because I'm just 100% real. I'm me. But no matter what his content is, you can't take away from the character of his work ethic. And that is what I like to take the positive out of a thing as opposed to the negative. So when that brother was on he'll feed you lines right there. I'm like, how do you remember what I'm supposed to say right here? And then, no, Stevie, switch it up. Boom, boom, do this. Boom. And like, what? And so it was just a tremendous experience to work with him and to work with all the other artists that were there. Because these other, I'm listening.
No, finish up. Well, I was going to say that, you know, what you're talking about, when you, first of all, I'm of the belief that the master creator has given us all a specific gift and a specific thing to do. And when we stand firm in what that is, that's when it's like a symphony. It's like a symphony because this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm honoring my gift. I'm honoring my calling. And the creator is like, okay, we're here. Boom.
Absolutely. It's just synergy, which to me, synergy is spirit and energy combined. And when you have that, it's in sync and it just flows and it just goes. And there's no, like even when you hit a current, you still just boom, you just get back on track and you just go. That's to me, when you're doing hard work instead of hard work, that's the difference.
Yes.
It's hard work because I have an affinity for it. You to be able to speak and to do this right here, Monarch didn't pay me for this. You see what I'm saying? This is my passion. Passion is love and anger combined. So if something that makes you angry, but you also love it, you got passion for that. My family, your family piss you off sometimes. Your husband might piss you off, but when y'all make up, I love him. It's passion. There we go. That's what this is about to me. So yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time for sure.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I mean, you did not disappoint. I had a feeling that it definitely went beyond it. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being with Monarch Magazine. You know, I'm of the opinion that Monarch Magazine is a publication that really, we want to grow. The publication wants to expose and talk about and all these different things. And you have brought a altogether different perspective than anyone else. I'll tell you that now. Anyone else. We've probably done about 9 or 10 of these. It was a great conversation. You've given me quite a bit that I will be talking about for some time, I'm sure.
Well, I give praises to the Creator, to the Most High, Yahweh, that, you know, for having the opportunity to be with you all. And I look forward to continuing to hopefully partner with Monarch on some things, because when you have a platform that's helping people tell truth like this, we got to get platforms like this out and get platforms like this more exposure. So yeah.
When it's Black owned, you can do that because you know
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. For us, but well, so, and it's funny because having a melanated owned business that has a universal palatable message, that's very important. Because I'm not just a Black business owner. Yeah, I own a business and I just so happen to be melanated, but my business is not just for melanated people, it's for everyone.
Right.
You know, and when you have a universal approach and a universal mindset, then that's when everyone else could take, you know, and grab something, or take the meat and leave the bones, right? Grab what's for you. Because I don't care what culture you are. We talked about some things today that Asian people and Mexican people and any people can grab. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Well, Stevie, multi-hyphenate, entrepreneur, philanthropist, author, actor, athlete, what did I miss? Health and wellness expert. Thank you so much for your time today. And I really do truly, I hope our paths cross again. I would love to have you back on. And go ahead.
Queen Chef Cynthia, listen, I will be calling you for some more recipes, because this right here was slamming.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Here. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us.